Let's bring this right down to grassroots. This gene key is all about relationships. The dilemma of the 44th shadow is hierarchy, with all its advantages and all its great challenges. Hierarchy exists everywhere within the universe, and it seems to be a part of the way nature organizes herself. And everywhere you look, you see evolving chains of consciousness and awareness, all interconnected, all involved with each other, from the microcosmic to the macrocosmic. It's all hierarchy. Hierarchy isn't in of itself a bad thing. In effect, it's an inescapable principle written into the very structure and fabric of our universe. Evolution is a passage from hierarchy to synarchy, and the only difference between them is perception. It's all a matter of where our awareness is based. At the shadow frequencies, awareness is still rooted in survival, in fear, whether that's as an individual or a group fear. It's all about competition. It's all about fear. So it's not healthy competition. It's not competition rooted in excellence or service. It's competition rooted in fear. So the dilemma of hierarchy is only a perceived dilemma. The great fear is really anarchy. It's the fear of what might happen if we all let go of the reins for a moment. It's the fear of going backwards into a more primitive way of life. And at the shadow frequency, we're always either overwhelmed by the fear or we're in reaction to the fear. So you either accept the hierarchy's laws, or you try and escape them, or you try and manipulate them to your advantage. There aren't really any other options. So the dilemma isn't really hierarchy, but your response to hierarchy. And your response is governed by your perception. Because hierarchy can only ever take away freedom if you think freedom is something external. And if you find true freedom, which is inner freedom, then hierarchy simply can't touch it. Nothing can touch true freedom. It's all about how we respond to the shadow consciousness of the world. It's inside us. It's downloaded at conception. And life places us deep in these interference frequencies, deep in these dysfunctional families, these challenging hierarchical dynamics, these groups and families that split apart, in order that we can learn this great lesson. The interference begins inside you as a perception of the outer world that's rooted in fear. That's what hierarchy is. And when you see through that illusion, then everything in your life begins to change. Embrace the shadow and release the gift. It really couldn't be simpler. Because what it does is it brings about the gift of teamwork. It means being with the right groups of people in life. So it's all about drawing in healthy dynamics into your life. We're really talking about your fractal family. And by fractal family, I mean your soul group, or your true allies in life. You see, as you begin to raise the frequency of your DNA, so many things begin to happen in your life. And although they may not happen right away, if you stay with the process, your outer life really does begin to self-organize at a higher level. As you awaken to a higher potential within yourself, as you begin to activate your inner genius, your higher life purpose, you simultaneously come into alignment with others doing the same. And you move into a higher hierarchical gear. But instead of this hierarchy being based on control or manipulation and fear, this hierarchy is based on creativity and service. And whoa, what a difference that makes. It feels entirely different. So this kind of creative expansive hierarchy. It's what I term heterarchy. And what this word really means, heterarchy, is that the individual elements within a system are given their freedom. In a heterarchy, individual uniqueness or genius is paramount. This is what the prefix hetero means. It means difference. And in a heterarchical system, control is distributed organically. It's distributed horizontally as opposed to vertically like a hierarchy. So inside your being, as you raise the frequency of your DNA, then you naturally move beyond the traditional hierarchical way of processing information. For example, your mind is the first thing that begins to lose its power at the top of the hierarchy. That's where it was. And your heart now begins to explode into action, and it begins to work alongside your brain. It begins to even organize your brain. Because it's all about self-organization, intelligence. Your cells begin to operate as a team, but it may appear a lot more random than the old model, the hierarchical model. In the old model, you see, at least you knew where you were. But in the new higher frequency model, control is placed in the hands of the creative, evolutionary, impulsive self. And this is why your life changes so much and so quickly when you begin to leave the shadow frequencies behind. Because life begins self-organizing. And this is what genius is. It rises up into the holographic quantum field and it begins to download truth. And those truths then emerge as breakthroughs in our understanding. You see, unless you've unlocked teamwork inside you, you can't operate within a heterarchy. Your being is still coded to the hierarchical way. Because your mind is still in charge. You're still worrying. You're still thinking your way through. You haven't surrendered to the creative process. And when you surrender to the creative process, you're just in another world. You know, your inner hierarchy begins to function at a whole other level. You know, you've actually, one of the first things that happens is you experience increased vitality, because so much energy that was going into survival and defense, you know, is now liberated through your body. And yes, then your true fractal begins to show up. And then teamwork is not really work at all, it becomes team play. And once you find your true human fractal, then you'll begin to find more and more support for your higher purpose. Because higher purpose is not intended to operate in isolation. And this is how we've always traditionally viewed genius, you know, as a few special individuals dotted around the world throughout history, working and making breakthroughs in different fields. But that's not the vision of the 44th gene key, not at all. Imagine what will happen when you have a whole connected field of creative brilliance, of genius, working cooperatively in service of the whole. Imagine that. That's the 44th gift. And this is how we're going to build this Eden that we've been speaking of. It isn't that hard. All it takes is a few people operating at this new higher level, interconnected, all serving the same higher vision, and it'll emerge. So the gift of teamwork is the genius of drawing together such a heterarchy and empowering it to find its own direction. If you have this gene key in your profile, then your destiny is to be this kind of a hub for all manner of creative people. And you are their common denominator. They come together around you. And it's effortless, it's magic, and it will in fact save the world. If you ever thought that the world needed saving, by the way. Which it didn't. Synarchy. The hierarchy is becoming aware of itself at another level. And as it does so its behavior will shift. This is what's meant by the wonderful word Synarchy. Who are the Illuminati? Are they, as the shadow consciousness will have us believe, a powerful group of sort of tycoons and media moguls and Freemasons who are secretly controlling the direction of the world? You know, they may well be. But come on, come on. If you're learning anything from being around the Gene Keys, you will have learned that all systems are interrelated. Nothing exists in isolation. Your breakthrough is the world's breakthrough. And that means that no one can manipulate events. No one. It's not possible. No group can manipulate the world. They are being manipulated by higher up in the hierarchy. And they are being manipulated from higher up. Everything's interconnected. So this time that we're in now, this transitionary era, this great change, it's a breakthrough at every level within the universe. The sun's involved. The galactic core is involved. The entire cosmos is involved. Awareness is opening up within the living chain of being throughout the universe. And the hierarchy is becoming aware of itself at another level. And as it does so its behavior will shift. This is what's meant by the wonderful word Synarchy. Synarchy means we all lead together. It doesn't mean that we're the same. It means that our uniqueness has a place within the orchestra. And instead of just playing a nice tune and being oblivious to all those around us, we begin to play in harmony with everyone else. When you get to heterarchy, it's a bit like finding your section in the orchestra. That's the gift. You find your section, you find your people. And you find all these other people playing in the string section, and you play the strings, and so you all start jamming together, and this amazing music comes out. And then when you get to Synarchy, it's a whole other level, because you realize that your section is playing in concert with a whole other universe of sections, and they're all coming into symphony. But most important of all, at Synarchy you become aware for the first time of the conductor. And the conductor, the superconductor, is inside every single individual part. This is the great revelation of the fractal universe, that inside every single molecule of your DNA is a conductor, the conductor, and it's waiting for you to follow its lead. It's you following a higher harmony. Then that includes all elements within the world hierarchy. So there are those still even who will operate at the shadow awareness, and they too are simply aspects of the higher harmony. And in time their awareness too will evolve. Synarchy is not an individual phenomenon. This city is one of the great collective cities, and it can only blossom in a collective as a collective. So if you have it within your profile, that's really something to contemplate. We saw that the shadow was interference. Well, the city is about non-interference. You simply see everything as it is, and you leave it where it is. You know all life as self-organizing. Even the shadow is self-organizing. It eventually organizes its own breakthrough, so leave it be. Eventually, all humanity will realize its true nature as one cosmic harmony. It's the realization of perfection in all things. It's freedom. Our underlying nature is Synarchy. So Synarchy is a living spirit that's waiting to be unveiled within us. And the Synarchy is where that spirit will first be experienced and demonstrated. And it's the collective genetic instrument in which communal awareness will begin its breakthrough into humanity. And our role is to be the threshold for the breakthrough, and to establish the physical manifestations and the systems that will allow more and more members of the Synarchy to come and join its living quantum field. And remember, this isn't an Illuminati based on power. It's based on nothing more than perception. Because once this eye opens, the sight will spread like wildfire throughout humanity, and over many generations it will allow us to perceive the truth of our Synarchy and then recreate our world in its image. Just like what it says in that there Bible. How's that for mysterious?